The morning sun filtered through the tall windows of Kensington Palace, casting long shadows across the marble floors. William stood at the window, his hands clasped behind his back, watching the world wake up beyond the palace gates. His reflection showed a man carrying invisible weights on his shoulders, the kind that comes with duty, responsibility, and expectations that never seem to end. Kate sat at the antique writing desk in the corner of their private sitting room, her fingers trembling slightly as she held a letter that had arrived just moments before. The royal seal had been broken, but the contents felt heavier than any official document she had ever received. Her eyes scanned the words again, hoping somehow they might change, but the message remained the same. The couple had been through many challenges together since their fairy tale wedding captured the hearts of millions around the world. They had weathered media storms, public scrutiny, and the constant pressure of representing the crown with dignity and grace. But this morning felt different. This morning, something fundamental was shifting in their carefully ordered world. William turned from the window, sensing his wife's distress without needing to see her face. After years of marriage, they had developed an almost telepathic connection, able to read each other's emotions even in the most crowded rooms. He could see the way her shoulders curved inward, a protective posture she unconsciously adopted when facing difficult news. "The children will be down for breakfast soon," Kate said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. She folded the letter carefully, as if handling something precious and fragile. The normalcy of their morning routine felt both comforting and surreal given what they had just learned. George, Charlotte, and Louis had no idea that their parents' world was about to change dramatically. They would come bounding down the stairs in their school uniforms, eager for toast and jam, chattering about upcoming tests and playground adventures. The innocence of childhood created a protective bubble that William and Kate were desperate to preserve for as long as possible. The letter on the desk contained information that would require them to make decisions no parent should ever have to face. Medical reports, specialist consultations, and treatment options were outlined in clinical language that somehow made everything feel both more real and more impossible at the same time. The doctors had been thorough, professional, and as gentle as possible, but the facts remained unchanged. Kate stood slowly, smoothing down her simple morning dress, a habit that helped her center herself during moments of uncertainty. She had learned early in her royal life that maintaining composure was not just about personal strength, but about the stability it provided to everyone around her. Staff members, family members, and eventually the public all looked to the royal family for consistency and calm. William crossed the room and placed his hands gently on her shoulders. They stood together in silence, drawing strength from each other's presence. The weight of their shared knowledge created an invisible barrier between them and the rest of the world. How do you carry on with normal life when everything feels fundamentally changed? The palace around them hummed with quiet activity. Staff members moved efficiently through corridors, preparing for another day of official duties, public engagements, and ceremonial obligations. The machinery of royal life continued its steady rhythm, oblivious to the personal crisis unfolding in the private quarters. Kate thought about all the people who would be affected by the news they carried. Not just their immediate family, but the extended network of relationships that defined their public and private lives. Palace staff who had become like family, security personnel who knew their every move, advisors who helped navigate the complex world of royal protocol and public service. The couple had always tried to balance their public duties with their desire for a normal family life. They wanted their children to experience as much normalcy as possible while still understanding their unique position and responsibilities. This balance had become increasingly important as the children grew older and more aware of their place in the world. William remembered his own childhood, the way his parents had tried to shield him and Harry from the more difficult aspects of royal life, while still preparing them for their futures. He understood the delicate dance between protection and preparation, between maintaining innocence and building resilience. The sound of small feet running down the hallway broke through their contemplation. Charlotte's laughter echoed off the walls, followed by Louis's excited chatter about something he had dreamed. George's more measured footsteps suggested he was reading while walking, a habit that both amused and concerned his parents. Kate wiped her eyes quickly, though no tears had fallen. The motion was preventive, a way of ensuring she would be ready to greet her children with the smile they expected and deserved. She had mastered the art of compartmentalization, a necessary skill for anyone living in the public eye. William straightened his tie and checked his reflection in the mirror beside the door. His morning routine had become second nature, but today each familiar gesture felt weighted with additional significance. How many more normal mornings would they have? How much time did they have to prepare for what was coming? The breakfast room was already set with the children's favorite things. Fresh fruit arranged in colorful patterns, warm pastries from the palace kitchen, and the special jam that Charlotte loved so much. The staff had prepared everything with their usual attention to detail, creating a scene of domestic perfection that belied the turmoil in the parents' hearts. Kate took a deep breath and opened the door to greet her children, forcing her features into the loving, patient expression they knew so well. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she was determined that this morning would be filled with the joy and security her children deserved. The letter remained on the desk, its contents temporarily set aside, but never forgotten. Soon enough, they would need to act on the information it contained. But, for now, there was breakfast to share and children to love. 3 weeks had passed since the letter arrived, and the weight of keeping such monumental news private was beginning to show in small, but noticeable ways. William found himself staring off into space during meetings, his mind drifting to conversations he needed to have and decisions that couldn't be delayed much longer. Kate had developed dark circles under her eyes that even the most skilled makeup artist struggled to completely conceal. The children had started asking questions. George, with his naturally perceptive nature, had noticed that his parents seemed distracted during their evening walks around the palace grounds. Charlotte had mentioned to her nanny that Mama seemed sad, even when she was smiling. Louis, still young enough to live completely in the moment, remained blissfully unaware, but his innocent questions about future plans and family trips had become increasingly difficult to answer. The couple had scheduled multiple consultations with specialists, each appointment conducted with the utmost secrecy. They traveled to hospitals through private entrances, met with doctors in conference rooms cleared of all unnecessary staff, and reviewed treatment options in sterile environments that felt worlds away from their comfortable family life. Dr. Sarah Matthews had become their primary contact, a woman whose combination of medical expertise and gentle humanity made the impossible conversations slightly more bearable. She had explained that time was a critical factor, but not in the way that required immediate panic. They had weeks, possibly months, to make informed decisions and prepare their family for what was coming. Kate had begun researching everything she could find about their situation, staying up late into the night reading medical journals and patient testimonials. She approached the challenge the same way she had approached every other aspect of royal life, with determination, thorough preparation, and an unwavering focus on protecting her family's well-being. William had taken a different approach, focusing on the practical aspects that would need to be addressed. He had quiet conversations with trusted advisors about how to manage public duties during a potential extended absence. He reviewed security protocols and considered how to maintain the children's routines while dealing with unprecedented circumstances. The palace staff had begun to notice subtle changes in the royal couple's behavior, though they were far too professional and loyal to comment directly. The head housekeeper had observed that Kate was eating less at meals, often leaving food untouched on her plate. The private secretary had noted that William was requesting fewer public engagements for the coming months, though he provided no explanation for the change. During their weekly meeting with senior advisors, William and Kate sat closer together than usual, their hands occasionally touching in small gestures of mutual support. The agenda covered routine matters, upcoming state visits, charity patron duties, and family appearances, but the couple found it increasingly difficult to focus on distant future plans. Sir James Pemberton, their longest-serving advisor, had worked with the royal family for over 2 decades. His experience had taught him to read the subtle signs that indicated when family members were dealing with private challenges. He had seen the same tension in previous generations when personal crises intersected with public responsibilities. The question of when and how to inform the extended family weighed heavily on both William and Kate. The decision would affect not just their immediate household, but the broader royal family's schedules, responsibilities, and emotional well-being. They knew that once the information was shared, there would be no returning to the protected bubble of privacy they currently maintained. Kate had started having longer conversations with her mother, Carol, though she had not yet revealed the full extent of their situation. These phone calls provided a connection to life outside the palace walls, a reminder of simpler times when problems could be solved with cups of tea and motherly advice. The children's bedtime routine had become increasingly precious to both parents. Reading stories, singing lullabies, and listening to their innocent chatter about school friends and pet hamsters created moments of pure normalcy that felt like gifts. William often lingered in their rooms after the children fell asleep, watching them breathe and memorizing their peaceful faces. Charlotte had been particularly affectionate lately, seeming to sense her parents' need for extra hugs and spontaneous expressions of love. She had taken to leaving little drawings under their bedroom door, colorful pictures of happy families surrounded by rainbows and flowers. These small tokens of childhood art had become treasured reminders of what they were fighting to protect. The palace gardens provided refuge for both William and Kate during particularly difficult moments. They would walk the same paths they had strolled as newlyweds, when their biggest concerns were learning royal protocol and managing media attention. The roses Kate had planted during their first year of marriage were now mature bushes that bloomed faithfully each season, a symbol of growth and persistence. Private moments between the couple had become more intense and meaningful. They held hands more often, shared longer embraces, and found themselves having deeper conversations about values, hopes, and fears than they had experienced since their early dating years. The crisis was stripping away superficial concerns and revealing what truly mattered. Dr. Matthews had arranged for them to speak with other families who had faced similar challenges. These conversations, conducted with strict confidentiality agreements, provided both hope and realistic perspective. They learned about treatment success stories and also about the importance of maintaining quality of life throughout whatever journey lay ahead. The couple had begun making subtle changes to their family traditions and routines, creating more opportunities for special memories without alarming the children. Spontaneous picnics in the palace gardens, impromptu movie nights in the family theater, and extra bedtime stories became more frequent occurrences. William found himself taking more photographs than usual, capturing candid moments of family life that might have previously seemed too ordinary to document. Kate's laughter during a silly game with Louis, George's concentrated expression while working on a school project, Charlotte's dramatic storytelling during dinner. These moments were now viewed through a different lens. The weight of their secret was becoming harder to bear alone, but they knew that once they began sharing the information, they would lose control over the narrative and timeline. The decision about when to speak publicly would need to be made carefully, balancing personal privacy with public responsibility. The day had finally come when they could no longer postpone the difficult conversations. William and Kate had decided that the children deserved to hear about their situation from their parents before any changes in routine or family dynamics became too obvious to ignore. They had consulted child psychologists and family counselors to find the right words and approach for each of their children's different ages and personalities. The family meeting was scheduled for Saturday afternoon in the palace's most comfortable sitting room, a space filled with family photographs, children's artwork, and comfortable furniture that encouraged relaxed conversation. Kate had prepared tea and the children's favorite biscuits, wanting to create an atmosphere that felt safe and familiar. George entered the room first, his natural maturity evident in the way he sensed the serious nature of the gathering. At his age, he had already learned to read the subtle cues that indicated when adult conversations were different from casual family time. He chose a spot on the sofa that allowed him to see both parents' faces clearly. Charlotte bounced into the room with her usual energy, immediately noticing the special treats that had been prepared. Her excitement about the unexpected family gathering was infectious, and, for a moment, William and Kate allowed themselves to smile genuinely at their daughter's enthusiasm for life's simple pleasures. Louis required some coaxing to leave his toy trains in the playroom, but once he saw his siblings gathered together, he eagerly joined them. His position between George and Charlotte on the large sofa created a picture of sibling solidarity that tugged at his parents' hearts. William began with gentle questions about school and friends, allowing the children to settle into the conversation naturally. Kate watched her husband's face as he navigated the delicate balance between maintaining normalcy and preparing to share life-changing information. His voice remained steady, but she could see the emotion gathering in his eyes. The explanation was carefully crafted to be age-appropriate, while still being honest about the changes that were coming to their family. William spoke about medical challenges that required special treatment, using language that the children could understand without being frightened by details they were too young to process. George asked thoughtful questions about treatments and timelines, his analytical mind trying to understand the practical implications of what he was hearing. His response was remarkably mature, though Kate could see the worry in his young face as he processed the information. Charlotte's immediate reaction was to move closer to her parents, seeking physical comfort and reassurance. She asked whether this meant fewer family trips and whether they would still have their regular movie nights. Her questions revealed her understanding that changes were coming, even if she couldn't fully grasp the scope. Louis, true to his age, was more concerned with immediate impacts on his daily routine. Would he still be able to play in the garden? Would his favorite nanny still read him bedtime stories? His innocence provided moments of lightness in an otherwise heavy conversation. The children's responses were both heartbreaking and inspiring. They showed resilience and adaptability that reminded William and Kate why they were fighting so hard to maintain stability and hope. The family's bond had always been strong, but this challenge was revealing new depths of love and support. After the initial conversation, the family spent the rest of the afternoon engaged in normal activities, playing games, reading together, and enjoying a special dinner prepared by the palace kitchen staff. The children seemed relieved to have information about the changes they had sensed, and the open communication had actually reduced some of the tension they had been feeling. That evening, after the children were asleep, William and Kate sat together in their private sitting room, emotionally drained but also oddly relieved. The hardest conversation was behind them, and their children's loving responses had reinforced their belief that their family was strong enough to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The next phase would involve gradually informing the extended royal family and key palace staff. William's father and stepmother would need to be told, as would Kate's family. Each conversation would require careful consideration of timing and approach, as the news would affect not just personal relationships, but also official duties and public responsibilities. Kate had been dreading the conversation with her parents most of all. Carol and Michael Middleton had always been protective of their daughter, and this news would be devastating for them. But she knew they would also be an essential source of support for the grandchildren during the difficult months ahead. The couple had also begun making practical preparations for the treatment period. They were working with palace administrators to adjust their official schedules, consulting with security personnel about modified protection protocols, and coordinating with the children's schools to ensure continuity in their education. Dr. Matthews had introduced them to a team of specialists who would be involved in the treatment process. Each meeting provided more detailed information about what to expect, potential side effects, and realistic timelines for recovery. The medical team's confidence and expertise provided reassurance, but the emotional impact of each clinical discussion remained challenging. William had started having private conversations with his father about potentially increased responsibilities during the treatment period. These discussions were delicate, as they touched on sensitive topics about succession and duty while dealing with personal family crisis. The palace staff had begun to notice changes in the family's routine, though they maintained their professional discretion about any observations. The household's loyalty and dedication became even more apparent as they quietly adjusted their own routines to accommodate the family's needs without being asked. Kate had found solace in her charitable work, particularly her involvement with children's hospitals and family support organizations. The irony of her situation, being someone who had advocated for family mental health support while dealing with her own family crisis, was not lost on her. The couple had also begun working with public relations advisors to prepare for eventual public disclosure. They knew that when the time came to share their situation with the public, the announcement would need to be handled with extreme care to protect their family's privacy while fulfilling their obligation to transparency. Privacy had become more precious than ever before. The normal intrusions of media attention and public scrutiny felt heavier when dealing with personal challenges. Simple activities like family walks or trips to local shops required additional security considerations and emotional energy. Support had begun arriving in unexpected ways. Close friends within their social circle had started offering assistance without knowing specific details. Invitations for quiet family gatherings, offers to help with children's activities, and general expressions of care provided a network of emotional support. The children's schools had been discreetly informed about potential schedule changes, and the administrative staff had assured complete confidentiality while offering additional support services if needed. This coordination allowed the family to maintain some sense of normal routine for the children. The treatment had begun 3 weeks earlier, and the family was slowly adjusting to their new reality. The initial days had been the most difficult, with everyone learning to navigate the physical and emotional challenges that came with such a significant life change. William had taken on increased responsibilities at home while maintaining his royal duties, creating a demanding schedule that tested his endurance daily. Kate's strength throughout the treatment process had surprised even her closest family members. She approached each day with determination and grace, focusing on maintaining normalcy for the children while dealing with the physical demands of her medical care. Her positive attitude became a source of inspiration for everyone around her, though William could see the effort it required during her more difficult moments. The medical team had been pleased with the initial response to treatment, providing cautious optimism about the long-term prognosis. Dr. Matthews made regular visits to the palace, allowing Kate to receive care in familiar surroundings whenever possible. This arrangement provided both medical excellence and emotional comfort during the most challenging phase of treatment. The children had adapted to the changes in their family routine with remarkable resilience. George had become more helpful around the house, taking on small responsibilities that made him feel useful during a time when he couldn't directly help his mother's medical situation. His maturity continued to impress both parents, though they remained mindful of not allowing him to shoulder adult worries. Charlotte had channeled her emotions into creative expression, producing an endless stream of artwork, stories, and small crafts that she presented to her mother as gifts. These tokens of love became treasured reminders of childhood innocence and the healing power of family bonds. Her artistic creations decorated Kate's bedroom, creating a colorful gallery of hope. Louis had required the most careful attention to maintain his routine and sense of security. His young age made him more sensitive to disruptions in family patterns, but his natural optimism and trust in his parents' care provided stability during uncertain times. Extra storytime sessions and playground visits helped maintain his happy disposition. The extended royal family had rallied around William and Kate with unprecedented unity and support. Family members who had sometimes seemed distant due to protocol and busy schedules now made regular visits and offered practical assistance. This crisis had brought the family closer together in ways that routine royal life had never achieved. King Charles had been particularly supportive, adjusting his own schedule to spend more time with his grandchildren and provide emotional support to William. The king's experience with personal challenges and public scrutiny gave him unique insight into balancing family crisis with royal responsibility. Carol and Michael Middleton had become frequent visitors to the palace, providing grandparent comfort and practical support that allowed William and Kate to focus on medical care and family stability. Their presence helped maintain connections to life outside royal protocol and reminded everyone of simpler family values. The palace staff had shown extraordinary dedication and discretion throughout the treatment period. From kitchen staff preparing special meals to accommodate medical dietary requirements, to housekeeping staff creating comfortable spaces for recovery, everyone had contributed to maintaining a supportive environment. Public duties had been significantly reduced, though not eliminated entirely. William and Kate continued with essential royal functions, carefully selecting appearances that felt manageable and meaningful. These public moments provided welcome breaks from medical routines and reminded them of their broader purpose and responsibilities. The couple's relationship had deepened through facing this challenge together. They had discovered new strengths in each other and learned to communicate with even greater honesty about fears, hopes, and daily needs. Their partnership had always been strong, but crisis had revealed previously unknown depths of love and commitment. Kate's public image had evolved subtly during this period. While the full details of their situation remained private, her reduced schedule and the family's increased focus on private time had created public speculation. The couple's communication team worked carefully to balance transparency with privacy, providing enough information to prevent harmful rumors while protecting family details. Medical appointments had become family events when possible, with the children sometimes accompanying their parents to provide moral support and maintain family unity. These trips required careful security coordination and scheduling, but the emotional benefits of staying together as much as possible outweighed the logistical challenges. The palace had become a more intimate space during this period. Fewer official functions meant more family dinners in private dining rooms, more informal gatherings in comfortable sitting areas, and more opportunities for spontaneous family moments that had become increasingly precious. William's role as a father had expanded in new directions as he took on additional caregiving responsibilities. His natural protective instincts had intensified, and he found himself more emotionally present with the children during bedtime routines, homework sessions, and casual conversations throughout their days. The treatment schedule had required careful coordination with school calendars and seasonal royal events. Planning had become more complex, with medical appointments taking priority over social obligations, and family health determining participation in traditional celebrations. Close friends had provided crucial emotional support through discreet visits and private conversations. These relationships, built over years of shared experiences, now offered safe spaces for honest discussion about fears and hopes without the formality required in official royal interactions. The couple had begun documenting this period through private journaling and photography, creating a record of their family's journey through challenge toward healing. These personal memories would become treasured family history, showing future generations the strength that comes from facing difficulties together. Recovery milestones were celebrated quietly, but meaningfully within the family circle. Each positive medical report, each day of increased energy, each return to normal activities became cause for gratitude and hope. These small victories accumulated into growing confidence about the future. The experience had changed their perspective on royal duty and public service. Their personal challenge had given them deeper empathy for families facing similar situations and renewed commitment to supporting charitable organizations that assist families during medical crises. Treatment side effects had been manageable but required constant attention to diet, rest, and activity levels. The family had learned to adapt their routines to accommodate these needs while maintaining as much normalcy as possible for the children's sake. 6 months had passed since that morning when the letter first arrived, forever changing the trajectory of their family story. Now, standing together at the same palace window where William had contemplated their uncertain future, both he and Kate felt the weight of what they had endured and overcome. The morning light seemed brighter somehow, filtered through glass that had witnessed both their darkest fears and their greatest triumphs. The final medical appointment had concluded with news that exceeded even their most optimistic hopes. Dr. Matthews had smiled broadly as she delivered the results that confirmed complete treatment success. The phrase, "full recovery," had hung in the air like music, transforming the clinical atmosphere into a space filled with joy and relief that neither William nor Kate had dared to imagine just months before. Kate stood before her bedroom mirror that morning, seeing herself clearly for the first time in many weeks. The reflection showed someone who had been tested in ways she never could have anticipated, but who had emerged stronger and more grateful for life's simple blessings. The physical challenges of treatment had faded, replaced by an energy and vitality that felt almost unfamiliar after the difficult period they had navigated. The children had sensed the shift in their parents' emotional atmosphere before any official announcement was made. George had noticed his mother humming while preparing breakfast, a sound that had been absent from their morning routines for far too long. Charlotte had observed that both parents were smiling more frequently, and that their embraces lasted longer, filled with relief rather than worry. Louis had simply declared one morning that "Mama seems happy again," his innocent observation capturing the transformation that everyone felt but hadn't yet put into words. His uncomplicated assessment of the situation provided perspective that cut through all the medical complexity to focus on what truly mattered. Their family was healing, and hope had returned. The conversation where William and Kate shared the positive news with their children became one of the most joyful family moments they had ever experienced. Tears of happiness replaced the worried expressions that had become too familiar, and spontaneous celebration broke out in their private sitting room as the reality of their good fortune settled over everyone. George's mature response included questions about whether this meant they could plan family vacations again, and whether his mother would return to her full schedule of royal duties. His practical concerns revealed how much he had absorbed about the impact of their situation on everyday family life, and his relief was evident in his more relaxed posture and renewed enthusiasm for future plans. Charlotte's reaction was characteristically emotional and artistic. She immediately began planning a celebration picture that would include rainbows, flowers, and happy faces to commemorate this special day. Her creative response to good news mirrored her earlier artistic processing of worry, showing how children naturally use expression to handle both challenges and triumphs. The extended royal family's response to the positive news created a wave of celebration that rippled through palace corridors and private family gatherings. King Charles's relief was particularly touching, as his worry for his son and daughter-in-law had been evident throughout the difficult period, despite his efforts to maintain appropriate royal composure. Carol and Michael Middleton's joy upon hearing the news was overwhelming and infectious. Their regular visits to the palace had provided crucial support during treatment, and now their presence during celebration felt like a natural completion of their family's journey through challenge toward healing and renewal. The palace staff's discretion throughout the difficult months had been exemplary, and their quiet celebration of the positive news demonstrated the genuine affection and loyalty that existed between the royal family and those who served them daily. Their professional dedication had created a protective environment that allowed healing to occur with dignity and privacy. Dr. Matthews had become more than just a medical provider during this journey. Her combination of clinical expertise and human compassion had guided the family through their most frightening moments and celebrated with them during their greatest triumph. Her final consultation felt more like a conversation with a trusted friend than a medical appointment. Public announcement of the positive outcome required careful consideration and planning. William and Kate wanted to share their gratitude and relief while maintaining appropriate privacy about personal medical details. Their statement would need to balance transparency with boundaries, allowing public celebration while protecting family intimacy. The couple's decision to return gradually to full royal duties was met with enthusiasm from charitable organizations and official institutions that had missed their active participation. However, their approach to public service had been fundamentally changed by their personal experience, bringing new depth and authenticity to their work with families facing similar challenges. Kate's return to her children's hospital patronage held special meaning now that she had experienced the medical system from a patient perspective. Her visits with families navigating treatment took on new dimensions of understanding and empathy that could only come from personal experience with fear, hope, and eventual triumph. William's perspective on balancing family and duty had evolved through their crisis. He had learned that protecting his family's well-being was not separate from his royal responsibilities, but integral to fulfilling them authentically. This understanding would influence his approach to leadership for years to come. The children's resilience throughout the experience had impressed everyone who witnessed their adaptation to changing circumstances. They had learned lessons about family strength, supporting loved ones during difficulties, and appreciating good health that would serve them well throughout their lives. Family traditions that had been temporarily modified during treatment were now resumed with enhanced appreciation. Evening walks in the palace gardens, weekend trips to the countryside, and regular visits with grandparents all carried new significance as activities that could be enjoyed without the shadow of medical uncertainty. The door that opened to reveal their positive prognosis had not just restored their previous life, but had given them access to a deeper understanding of what truly mattered. Their experience had stripped away superficial concerns and revealed the essential elements of happiness, health, family unity, and the ability to face challenges together. Looking toward their future, William and Kate felt equipped with new strengths and perspectives that would enhance their ability to serve their country and raise their children. The crisis that had once threatened to overwhelm them had instead become a source of wisdom, gratitude, and renewed purpose that would influence every aspect of their lives going forward.